people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Titilayo, and if this is your first time seeing me on your screen, it is very nice to meet you. You are welcome. And if this is not your first time, you know the drill. A one, a two, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome back. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, fabulous day. Guys, it is 2021. Happy New Year! As it's usual tradition on my channel, I decided to come on here and just kind of chit chat, get ready with you guys, with me. Yeah, kind of get ready with you guys. And today we're actually going to be doing something different. I'm going to be doing more of a skincare routine other than an actual makeup look. So I'm going to be walking you guys through some of the things I do for skincare. It is the beginning of the month, so it's also prime time to kind of get those, steps in that you don't usually do but you like to do. So a lot of these steps I do, and I'll be mentioning, I don't do most of them every, day. I usually wait till like the beginning of the month to do a lot of these steps. So that being said, I'm going to be walking you guys through my skincare routine while also talking about, 2021, my goals, my aspirations, what those look like, what inspired those, and, just the usual. So anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get on with today's video. Alright guys, so to begin with, I'm going to go ahead and shave my face. Now this is something that I mentioned, this is something that I only do once a month, and I like to do this at the beginning of the month. It kind of gets my face ready for the rest of the month. And to do that, I'm going to go in with this coconut oil. You can use whatever oil you like. I just, have coconut oil at home and prefer to use coconut oil. I'm just going to take a little bit of that oil, and like a little goes a long way. And this kind of helps to give your skin a little slip, so that the razor can actually go, properly across your face. Here's the razor I'm going to be using. I picked up a couple of these, like a pack of this, off Amazon. I have a fresh one that I use, and I also kind of disinfect that with a little bit of cleanser and some alcohol and rubbing alcohol. So when you're doing this, you want to move downward in the direction that your hair grows, or with the direction that your hair grows, just so you don't have any bumps. You guys can see I have some hair, so this like deals with both like hair as well as peach fuzz. While I'm shaving, let's begin to talk about the issues at hand, if you want to put it that way. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about 2021 and my plans for this year. And if 2020 taught me anything, I think 2020 taught me how to set more like, how do I put it? 2020 taught me how to like set goals that necessarily weren't as malleable. Those are the goals I set for 2020 were for 2020 alone. They weren't goals that were long-term and affected me like long-term, which is fine. That's okay. I mean, some of them definitely are long-term, like when it came to like, going back to school and things like that. That was definitely a long-term goal because, it's my career. I'm trying to like figure something out. But I'm talking about things like, going back home, planning an elaborate birthday party, which I actually didn't want to do that last year, so it wasn't a thing. But like goals like, saving money too is something that could be long term. But in the long run, I was doing it more for like a short-term reason. So I was saving money towards a goal that I wanted to achieve in 2020. Not like I was not necessarily saving for like, the next 10 years or 20 years or stuff, which I immediately had to reconsider that when the pandemic hit. The major thing, and that's why I like setting my goals for this year, the major thing that happened last year was that the goals that I set again were not like, they were goals that I had to achieve in 2020. Like one of my biggest goals last year was to go back home, and that was already in the works, and it was like everything was already in play before the pandemic hit. So it was like things that were really affected by the happenings last year. Now going back home last year was a last year thing, so it doesn't really affect me this year. And that's the reason why I mentioned that, the reason the year seemed kind of out of place was because, sorry, I'm shaving my mouth. But The reason the year kind of seemed out of place was because a lot of the goals that we set, or that I set, our personalizers that I set for last year, were goals meant for last year. And so when everything happened and I couldn't actualize those goals, it kind of hurt, you know? That's the main thing. I'm actually going to go in and wash my face. I'm going to do this off camera. Usually I go in with my best cleanser in the world, and that's my Dudu Ocean black soap. I'm going to leave a picture because I don't have it here. It's in the washroom. I always go in with that first. I'm going to use that to take off the excess oils on my face. And recently I've been enjoying using this face brush that I picked up off of Amazon, and now this is like that's what it looks like. So this is like a silicone based brush, and this is kind of different from the bristles that I'm used to, but I decided to test this out just because I started to feel like the bristles were kind of scratching my face, and my face was kind of already used to, you know, always having bristles. So I decided to go in and pick up this silicone brush. I absolutely love this. This will help to get my pores, you know, kind of cleaned out a little bit, and I think it does a great job at doing that. Face is freshly washed. I'm just going to take a paper towel and use that to kind of wipe off that excess water off my face. Now, next step is going to be steaming, and I want to apologize for the audio in advance. I'm not sure how the mic would actually pick up on the steam. It's probably already, like, you know, I have the steamer already going, and this is the steamer that I use. I got this off of Amazon, and I just put in a little water like a couple of minutes ago, and you know, it's already steaming. So I'm just gonna put my face, like, you know, a couple of meters away, and while that's going on, I'm just gonna keep going with the video. Yeah, it's actually kind of uncomfortable to talk with that, so I'm gonna put it a little further away just so it doesn't get in my mouth. This year, while I was setting my goals, my major reasoning while I was setting goals, or like my major thoughts exactly while I was setting my goals, was that despite whatever this year throws at me, I will achieve these goals, or I should be able to achieve these goals. And so I wasn't setting, you know, I didn't set goals about things that I want to do just this year. They're more long term, and I'm hoping to achieve or start achieving them by this year. So the very first thing, or I have two main goals, and they're kind of broken down into smaller bits, obviously. But the two major goals I have this year are, one, I want to only do things that spark joy. And this for me is the big one, just because I have the tendency to kind of wear myself thin and kind of test everything out or do everything. And so over time, when I look back on certain decisions or certain things that I did, I don't see a lot of joy there, or I don't feel a lot of joy there. And that's why sometimes I give up on things, or, you know, I just give up, you know. And so this year, like, my main goal is to only do things that spark joy. And the second goal is to stay healthy. Now, staying healthy, that embodies, like, you know, physical, mental, emotional, whatever other health that needs to be maintained, financial health, you know. Those are the things that I want to be doing this year. First thing I really want to focus on is my career. This year, I feel like I really need to sit down, and my playtime is over, if you want to put it that way. So I really need to figure out what it is I want to do with my life. And so I'm looking at a couple of courses, a couple of programs and things like that. And like whatever it is, again, goes back into like the major goals, you know. These are just like sub goals under those major goals. But whatever it is needs to definitely spark joy. Because this is like a career that I'm going to be going into. It needs to spark joy, but then it also needs to help, like, you know, it needs to better my mental health. Just because I've been in a situation where you study things that you don't want to study, or, you know, you get into things or programs that you're not necessarily interested in, and it just combobulates your mind. And so I'm not trying to do that to myself. And so whatever it is that I eventually pick and eventually go with, I feel is something that definitely needs to spark that joy and make sure that, you know, I'm not killing myself slowly. Let's go back to skincare for a little bit. So this steamer I'm using, I got it off of Amazon. I've had it for a couple of months now. And like I mentioned at the beginning, this is one of the steps that I only do like about once a month. Except I'm really feeling like I need to pick me up, and I decide to do like this skincare routine twice in a month. I only reserve this step to once a month. The whole point of the steamer is to kind of give you steam, obviously, but the steam is going to open up your pores a lot. And I know a lot of people, like, you know, I've been saying pores, a lot of people probably don't know what that is, but it's pretty much just like pouches on your skin, if you want to put it that way. And so when your pores are clogged, that's when you have the appearance of texture. You have, like, people would usually get acne when they have clogged pores. And so the majority of my skincare routine is usually to open pores, clean them out, close them back up. I've kind of been doing this for about 10 minutes. The steam is about to die down, so I'll kind of show you guys. There we go. This is a nano ionic face steamer, and when I did my research, that turned out to be the safest amount of heat to apply to your face, or the safest type of heat to apply to your face. And I didn't want to do anything that was going to damage my skin even further when I'm trying to enhance it, and so that's why I decided to go with that one. So the instructions on how to use it is actually in the box, and this is the main thing I wanted to actually show. Is this is how much water, like, you know, is advised to use in your steamer. So I only use about, it's labeled 50 ml of water. I only use about 50 ml of water, and that's absolutely important, because if you have too much water in your steamer, depending on the capacity that it can take, instead of bringing out steam, you could actually just spread out hot water, and that's absolutely dangerous. You know, hot water, skin, they don't really go together, you know. And so it's absolutely important for you to make sure you're following the instructions. I only used about 50 ml of water, and that ended up giving me about, I want to say, 10 minutes of steam, which is all but enough or sufficient to open up those pores and let me do my job. Moving forward, right now we kind of have our pores wide open, and the best thing to do right now is to use a mask that would actually pull out the gunk. And this has been my absolute, you know, favorite pore cleanser mask, and I've been using this for a really long time. Like, I'm of the impression that if it ain't broke, then you'll need to fix it. And so I haven't had to, like, you know, reach out for another mask, just because this one does a really good job. This is the Aztec Secret, the Health and Beauty Aztec Secret Indian Healing Clay, and it's the world's most powerful facial deep pore cleansing mask. What I really do is I take a little portion of that, there we go, I put it into like a bowl kind of thing, take a little portion of that, and then I like to make mine thicker. So I'm gonna go in with my apple cider vinegar, and usually you can mix this, like, if you have sensitive skin, I would say mix this with like 1 part apple cider vinegar and 1 part water. But my skin's not that sensitive, and I've been using this mask for a little bit now, so my skin's kind of used to it. And so I just go in with only, yeah, it starts kind of like a reaction. That's the consistency that I particularly like, or into Life Talk. Another thing that, you know, I've been working on this for a long time. I feel like I've shared my struggles with this. Even quite recently, I kind of openly failed at doing this, was balance. And that's one thing that I feel like is always going to be on my list of things to achieve or things to do, is just to learn how to balance everything. And, you know, I've made a whole video of living a balanced life and how important it is, how hard, you know, it is to do it, but how important it is regardless of the fact that it's hard. And so I feel like that's something that openly I have shared, like, as a struggle. I really can't really balance. I sometimes find it hard to balance a lot of things. And one thing I want to say is, like, this last Vlogmas, I decided to, like, learn how to incorporate, or challenge myself to incorporate YouTube and, like, school, because I was having classes up until, like, the very, I want to say, 3rd week of December. And so I felt like the first couple of days of, you know, the challenge went good. I was kind of getting a groove of it, you know, content creating, not just YouTube, content creating, as well as, you know, focusing on other life things, other, like, real life things. And I feel like it was going good, but then it started to not spark joy. And that's a story for another day. I mean, I kind of just stopped doing the Vlogmas, or like the chat every day in December thing, just because at the moment it wasn't sparking joy. Now it's definitely something in the books for, like, another time, maybe another month, maybe another period in my life. But I had to stop it just because I was becoming more, it was starting to feel more like a chore other than something that I actually enjoyed doing. And I didn't want it to be that way. Like, I was going to be talking to you guys every day in December, and I didn't want to always come here and feel like I was being forced to do that. You know, nobody asked me. I was the one that asked myself to do that. So at the end of the day, I was like, if I have to stop doing this for my mental health again, like, that's what needs to happen. And so I kind of, I do need to apologize for how abruptly that ended. I think we only had like 5 days and I was just like, stressed. So definitely this year, for a balance is something I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be striving hard to do that. I am in school again this semester, and so not as hard as last semester because I'm not full-time this semester like I was last semester, but it's going to be really funny to see how I can actually balance that. I am still a full-time worker. I do have a full-time job. So yeah. So that mask is completely applied on now. I think I kind of got all of the areas that I needed to get. And so it's really thick, so it's not going to take too long to dry. I'm just kind of applying more on areas where I really want a lot of action, like my nose. I'm going to apply a little more on my nose just because I want like a lot more pore cleansing action on that bad boy. I'm going to apply some around my mouth right here where there isn't enough. And yeah, I can already feel it like drying. And if you've never used this before, when it dries, it actually like squeezes your face in. So it's hard to talk, it's hard to move your face. It's just like but anyways, yeah, I'm gonna leave this on for about 10 minutes. It's gonna be dry probably before then because of how thick it is, but yeah, about 10 minutes. So this goal is, I wrote here, to be a better friend. And I feel like I already do a really good job at being a friend. You can ask my friends. But I think I'm very good at, keeping in touch, kind of. I won't say I'm the best at keeping in touch with everyone, but I'm good at keeping in touch with my circle. And when it comes to like my other friends, I'm more of a low maintenance friend in the sense that if we're cool, we're cool. So like if I don't talk to you all the time, it's fine. But if we catch up after like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I'm the kind of friend where it's like, if we're cool, like I just kind of like, it's like that. It's like, so I'm not the one who needs to talk to you all the time to kind of know that we're cool. However, I do have some friends like that, and especially with the pandemic, I won't lie, I haven't been the greatest at kind of like checking in and reaching out and just being available. And it seems a lot harder for some people during the pandemic. And so when I put being a friend, I put it here as, being a friend, just not based on my own friendship requirements, because I don't need to talk to you every day to be like cool with you. But I do have some friends where it's like they don't feel the same. They need to talk to me every day. They need to talk to me every other day to kind of feel like we're good. And so I'm going to be a better friend to those friends. I'm going to be a better reacher out to, like, and again, those like 60 something, 120 something messages on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on on iMessage. I'm going to do a very good job this year at replying to those. I'm not just assuming that everyone, would have the same kind of friendship pattern that I do, where we don't necessarily need to be in touch to be friends. Also, in the same vein, I do want to be a good friend even when things are not comfortable. And it's not like I'm that kind of friend where it's like I'm a fair weather friend and I'm only there when it's good and I'm gone when it's bad. But just the kind of energy that I have is, I try to like, I think I mentioned this in my last year's video, is that a lot of the things I tried to do in 2020, or like my biggest goal in 2020, was to share my life, so still be friends, like, be there, like sharing my life pretty much. I do it on YouTube, I show you guys, I take you guys about my day, but also be very precious in my energy. And so the moment I start to feel like something's going wrong, or this is getting too stressful, I'm like out. I don't like stress, I don't like drama, I really don't. And so for me, the moment I start to see a hint of that, I really run away. And so sometimes it's like, why give up so easily on something where you can actually work on it and try to make it better? Like, not everything's going to be perfect. And I think I understand that, but I also understand the fact that I don't want to get myself into a toxic like situation. And so for me, it's again all about balancing those two. Like, it's a really thin line between both of them. And so my main goal this year is to be a good friend while maintaining my energy. And, you know, even though things are not comfortable, I won't try to give up on friendships as easily as I've done before. I want to build better relationships this year. I want to build stronger and long-lasting relationships this year. And so for me, that's like an important thing I needed to add in there, is like, things are not always going to be rosy, and it's okay to work through the non-rosiness of things. And so with that being said, it's getting hard to talk. This is like, you know, I think you can see like the colors a little lighter. These areas are still kind of drying up, but I'm going to just fan them so they can dry quickly, and I'm going to go wash this off and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I went off camera and I took off that mask. My face feels really fresh. What I also did off camera was I went in with this Enzyme Cleansing Gel from Badescu. That's what it looks like, and I massaged this in with my face brush. I used the high heated mode to kind of massage this into my skin, and this is a hydrating cleansing gel. What I did was, this kind of had like the same effect of using a mask after using such a, like, you know, dehydrating pore cleanser mask in the first place. It was kind of to add a little more moisture back to my face, and I just did that and massaged it on with that brush for about, I think I used it for about 5 minutes, and then I wiped that off, and yeah, this is what we have. So it's easy to get dried out during this period, so I've been trying to, like, you know, focus more on hydration. Even though I do have oily skin, I feel like that's one thing that people, you know, kind of misconstrues. Oh, I have oily skin, so I don't need hydration. Wrong. You need to stay hydrated regardless of your skin type. And so the toner I'm using is also from Badescu. This is the Witch Hazel and Rose Water toner. It's very mild. I decided to get this because for the longest time I'd been using the toner from The Ordinary, the glycolic acid toner, and I felt like after a while, you know, that kind of thing where like your skin gets used to certain things. My skin kind of got used to that one, but I also wanted something mild. One of the things that I also wanted to do this year, and this one's like, you know, it's something that I'm continuing on from last year, was definitely focusing more on my physical health and well-being. And I feel like this is like an important goal for me this year, is just to stay healthy, especially since, you know, it's a pandemic, there's a pandemic, and, you know, just kind of follow restrictions and make sure that I'm not putting myself in harm's way and at risk for anything. It's winter right now, so it's very easy to just stay home and kind of be grounded, but at the same time, like, you know, you're gonna go out because you don't want to get depressed, you know, you don't want to be home and like just sad. Plus you also kind of need food from the stores, right? You need like your daily living things from the stores. So yeah, I'm going to be going out, but I'm also going to just be making sure that I'm following all of the restrictions that I need to be following. This year I'm really focused more on skincare, as well as, you know, just like general health and well-being. I did gain a couple of pounds, and I hate to talk about weight loss every year, but I did gain a couple of pounds. I think like last year I was going so well with my weight loss. In March, the way I looked in March was, that's my goal right now, is to get back to the way I looked in March last year. At least that's my soft goal. And guys, I'm going in with this collagen and vitamin C serum. This is from Core Clinicals, and I'm just applying this on my face. I just want to get back to the way I looked in March last year, like to begin with, and then we can work from there. But I felt like, you know, I at the beginning of, you know, the quarantine, I was doing really well with not trying to add a couple extra pounds, and it was all under the impression that, oh, this is temporary, like we'll be back at the gyms and back, you know, our regular active lifestyles very soon. I'll be back in the office, and, you know, that was my understanding. And so I felt like I didn't really set up a permanent, or like a more, how do I put it, like whatever I did from home, like working out from home and things like that, for me was more, you know, temporary than it was, this is the new normal. And even though, like, obviously the gyms are open right now in Halifax, and so that's still okay, but technically it's still like a risk for the fact that we haven't really gotten rid of, you know, COVID-19, and going to the gym like is the high risk for me right now. So as much as I want to go back to like being at the gym and working out and keeping fit and everything, I feel like I need to find a way to kind of do that at home, or do that in a safe space that isn't necessarily the gym, and in a more this is the new normal kind of way, if that makes sense. So that's something that, you know, I kind of put off doing it last year because I was really hoping that we would, you know, eradicate the whole thing. But in the words of Tenny Makanaki, and for my non-Yoruba speaking friends, like that simply means like my tummy is getting out of hand. You know, she's becoming rude. My biggest motivation is me. Like I know how I want to look, I know how I want to feel, and so it's like getting there is enough motivation for me. So yeah, while I was talking, I applied this niacinamide 10% and zinc 1% serum all over my face, and I just pat that in, and I'm just kind of waiting for it to dry a little bit. Going in with some SPF cream. The one I'm using is this Attitude Natural Care. It's about 30 SPF. So generally I would only use SPF like if I was going out in the sun. Usually in the summer is when I incorporate it into my routine, but I've kind of been doing some research, and even though I'm home, even though it's winter, I feel like SPF, the way I understand it, is something that should be used all the time. It definitely helps to prevent sunburns, but it also helps with your general skin health overall. And like I said, I'm working on skincare this year, and so definitely I decided to pick this up and not just use it in passing. Using it in passing in the sense that I would only use SPF like because it was in my foundation or because it was summertime. But right now it's going to be a part of my my routine, and I'm just going to take like a dollop of this. This isn't the best one, honestly. I went to the store that day, and like this was all I could find at the store at the time. It's not my favorite one because it does have like that blue cast. Can you guys see that? Yeah, it does have that ugly blue cast. But I would only use this if I was like at home or I was going to use some makeup over it. I do like the consistency of this one because it's super thick, and I just feel like over all of my serums and things like that, it definitely feels good, but I just don't like that blue cast that it gives. So I'm going to be picking up the one that I used to use before in the summer, which is the Neutrogena one. Alright guys, so next step I'm going to go in with is moisturizing. I'm going to go in with this Pond's Dry Skin Cream. Guys, I've been using this cream for a couple of months now. I want to say over about 6 months I've been using this cream, and I absolutely love this thing. Like, it feels so good. And I think the first time I got it, I was kind of skeptical. It was one of those times when my skin was acting up because I do have oily to combination skin. And sometimes, like, even though my T-zone's always oily, there are areas of my skin that would sometimes get super dry. And so I got this at that point where like my skin was feeling like she needed a little hydration. And I didn't expect to love this as much as I did. Like, this is a dry skin cream, but at the same time I can use it even though I have oily skin, and it doesn't like make my skin super oily or slippery. Like, I use this under makeup all the time, and I definitely will be repurchasing. I absolutely recommend this cream, and it just adds so much hydration to the skin without like being, you know, oily. It doesn't make me a grease ball or anything. I'm going to go in with this Mario Badescu Hyaluronic Dew Cream. That's what it looks like. What I've been doing lately is I'm kind of doing like this double moisture routine, and I've been absolutely loving it. And I'm just going to apply this to my T-zone and kind of work it around that area and work it outwards. So it's still going to get all over my face, but I really concentrate this into my T-zone. The very last one I have on my list is to develop a new skill, and I felt like 2020 was a year to definitely do that. It's not really much of a new goal for me because I kind of started that in 2020. I had a lot of free time on my hand at the beginning of the year before I started school in September. And so I had spent some time, especially over the summer, just kind of developing new skills. Like I mentioned, like last year I started doing my nails myself. I focused on baking a lot last year. Like, I did a lot of baking last year. And it's just something that I feel like it's personal development, and a pandemic didn't need to happen for me to have known that, okay, you should start doing this. I mean, over time, I've kind of done that and I've learned skills. I mean, I learned makeup on my own. I learned photography pretty much on my own as well. But I felt like it's something that I want to do more continuously. So probably every year I would like to like figure out a new skill that I would like to focus on that year and kind of learn or figure out how to do it. The lip balm I'm going to be using today is from Badescu. It's their lip balm. And I'm just gonna apply that over my lips. Finally, just to kind of add, like lock it all in, I'm actually going to apply some oil. And I'm going in just with that coconut oil that I used earlier. It's like we started with that and then we're ending with that. And I'm just going to apply these all over my face. Now, normally I would skip on the oil if I was going to be applying makeup directly, immediately after. But since I'm not, applying any makeup, I'm just doing this really to just feel clear. Immediately I do like the steamer option. I try not to put on makeup for like that day. So I'm just going to apply that oil all over my face and lock in that moisture. Alright guys, so ultimately those are my goals and aspirations for 2021. I'm really hoping this year would bring a lot of goodness, a lot of happiness, joy, peace, love, friendships into our lives, and pretty much whatever you set, whatever goals you set, if you'd like to share them, please let me know in the description. I really wish you guys a wonderful, beautiful, fabulous 2021. I hope this year comes with a lot of peace, love, joy, laughter into our lives, and definitely should be like a better year than last year. All the same, stay safe, and I'll see you all in my next video, God willing. Bye-bye.